Okay. All right. This week's podcast is brought to you by milk. and and actually liking The Witcher a lot.
This week's podcast is also brought to you by shitty fake movies and 10 hours at the dentist.
Oh my god. I'm your host, Madison.
I'm your other host, Jesse James. I spent 10 hours at the dentist this week.
No.
I have next week off, though, so that's cool.
Off from the dentist?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it like, were you getting like dental surgery or things like that?
So I had morning appointments Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday I had like a full cleaning. Also, Wednesday hurt the most out of the 3 days.
Mm.
And then Thursday I had like a new tooth built up, essentially. And then Friday I had, it was like a section of tooth they wanted to replace. So basically they shaved off like a quarter of one of my teeth and then built a new quarter of one of my teeth.
Ooh.
But each of those appointments took a little over 3 hours.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Those are the worst. I've had in the last year I went, or how long was it ago? Maybe 6 months ago. I went to the dentist for the first time in a long time, and I had a lot of cavities.
Oh.
And so I had to go in and have like hours long appointments so that they could fix it, and had like the worst anxiety attacks that I've had in years during that time. So that was fun, but I'm sure yours was also
fun.
Very unfun.
Well, I'm on like month, just coming up on month 6 of like at least a few dental appointments every couple weeks.
Oh my God.
And I think I'm approaching maybe not expert level, but at least like tradesman level at going to the dentist.
Once you're done, they'll just hand you a certificate and be like, you pretty much know everything now.
Yeah,
you know it all.
Now you can just go to any dentist and they have to do it for you. But I don't know. Mine feels very outside of justice because I take good care of my teeth, and what happened was my acidic saliva ate through all of my old dental work. So
that does feel very unfair.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it has to get done. I would like my teeth to be healthy for as long as possible, but it is a real pain in the ass. So now that we've gotten started off to a good up note, I feel like, should we save cats for the end, or should we start with cats? Because it's a hard bargain on those.
God, either way, it's gonna come up eventually.
Well, let me say something that I'm currently very passionate about. Well, two things, really. One has to do with cats. Last night, I discovered that there is an Animal Planet show on YouTube and other places that are 45-minute long episodes that just track 3 breeds of cats from kitten to like young cat.
Oh.
And so you just watch them do stuff for 45 minutes, and it is excellent. So
that sounds great.
That's something people should look out for, because they have like at least 5 episodes of it with a bunch of different breeds of cats.
Mm-hmm.
Also, found out you have to wash the like bald cats like a lot.
Oh, do they not groom themselves then?
No, they just don't have anything to take the oils from their skin off, like the cats with hair do.
Ooh.
So you have to like wash the oils off of
Oh
them.
no.
Uh,
Oh.
so that's something to keep in mind. Um, but the other thing is, it started kind of as a dare slash joke of like, oh yeah, we're gonna watch that part in Star Wars Episode 2 where they go to that like sort of weird racist dinery place. And then I
Mm.
watched it and it's like, the racism is pretty light. However, it looks like in hindsight, that scene looks like something that is out of Omicron, the video game, and what's that reboot just mashed together. Like all the creatures that are like animated into that scene look terrible, and it's so obvious that Ewan McGregor's character is like just basically pasted over the top of that whole scene. Is a fucking train wreck, and then it turned into watching like a bunch of little individual scenes from those movies, and like the only one that holds up at all is the distant shots in the pod racing scene in the first movie. But I'm confident it's because all they were doing were putting little animated like metallic things at a distance in the
Yeah.
desert, so of course they could make it look good. But as soon as it flips over to like Greg Proops's like two-headed character, I forget who the other head is, announcing the race,
Yeah.
it looks like somebody fucking matte painted them onto like just some trashy like 3D thing they built. It's fucking terrible.
Well,
Anyway, do yourself a favor, you and everyone else, and watch those scenes again. They are so bad. And also, if you based what the characters in Star Wars were based off of those movies, they're all the worst. Like it's
oh.
so much worse than you remember.
Yeah, that's what I've learned. After I watched um the Rise of Skywalker, I was on a big Star Wars kick, and so I went back and I think we watched over Christmas. I think we watched a couple. I think we watched like Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's the the first thing I noticed is, oh no, this isn't as good as I remember. Like, because I think I watched them. I watched all of them pretty consistently when I was like 10, 11, and 12 because um, that's when I was living on like I think I mentioned this last time, like vaguely, but my dad used to manage a ranch, and so we lived in a log cabin on this ranch, and the only thing to do was like watch TV, or there was stuff to do, but we watched a lot of TV, and the Star Wars movies were always on, so I've seen
Uh-huh.
all of them a lot. But yeah, it's kind of saddening to watch them again and be like, oh, that's not as cool.
I mean, I still think 4, 5, and 6, like the original three, are pretty well made.
I still enjoy them. I think I won't ever not enjoy them.
But I think the 1, 2, and 3 movies are like more legit, pretty terrible. Uh, I'll watch them for sure. Like
Yeah.
I want to see Obi-Wan ride that stupid lizard after that robot man. Like, of course, but it's
Obviously.
it's bad.
Yeah. I have a friend who's letting me use her Disney Plus account, so I'm gonna have to go a little crazy
You
with the
could get
Star
your
Wars.
McClunky on.
I
That's
can get
excellent.
my McClunky on anytime I please.
Yeah,
And
that's the first one too. That's a good one to watch.
yeah, yep, I'm gonna have to do that. But let's see. In other non-cats related business, I've watched all of The Witcher now, and I really
Okay.
like it.
Uh,
Um,
the dentist took the place of The Witcher for me this week, but I'm excited to hear Was it a good, like, self-contained series?
Um, I think so. Like, I'm sure they're planning on more seasons. Do you know anything if they're planning on? I finished it.
Right. I imagine so because uh, everything they were doing was from older storylines of The
Yeah.
Witcher. So, like, I have a pretty good idea of everything they're doing in that
Oh,
show
it's gonna happen.
anyway. Like,
Okay.
they might get to the Battle of Novigrad, but I don't think they'd go much past that if they get anywhere.
I think they ended with is it Novigrad? I think it started with an S. Is like the big battle scene at the
They
end. Is
Did they
there
do like a Skellige thing? Hmm.
no? There's a lot of talking about Skellige, but I don't think there. I think it's called Soledad.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Um,
Let me look up the names so that I'm not being an idiot. It's been a while since I've read or played any of that stuff.
I want it. It's either Soledad or it starts with an N. Like I can't remember, but it's supposed to be the keep that like separates the Nilfgaards from the north, I guess.
Oh,
So they're like the last stand.
do you mean Novigrad?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's the one you said, and I just didn't know. Yeah, that's probably it. I have a hard time keeping track of the places.
Oh, you're good. That the Witcher world is it's like I don't know, it's almost like a cross between the way the Tolkien map and the like World of Warcraft map are built. And it's pretty complex. Um, let's see.
Yeah. I really like it so far. And what's funny is I think I watched yesterday and this morning. Probably I finished it up, so probably like 4 episodes total. But I had no idea that they were going to that Yennefer was the love interest for
Yeah,
Geralt. I just did not see that coming at all for some reason. Like I knew their storylines were going to come together at some point, but I just didn't. I was like, oh, okay.
they did a good job of not making that like obvious.
Yeah, I thought
And
so too. I
they
really
have
liked
their
them.
own like issues and stuff and like storylines past that, but I think that they actually like basically that story is based around like um this is how my parents met in a weird way. But
Mm,
um it's like an adopted family kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. I like them together, although all of their dialogue every time they ever talk is just so fucking bad and cringy. Like I think it's just because I'm so used to Geralt like not talking the whole show, and then he
Right.
has like 50 lines every time he's with her, and he even has one line where he's like, "Every time I'm with you, I talk more than I have in weeks." And I'm like,
Huh.
okay. So yeah,
I have
their
yeah,
dialogue is really bad.
I haven't seen how they do that yet, but there is a running joke in uh, The Witcher of like having sex on a stuffed unicorn. Uh, I don't know if that came up, but there
um,
there are
no,
things in that storyline.
yeah, it not that yet, but there is one really funny scene like right when Yennefer and Geralt meet at the first time. She's doing some sort of like I don't know. She's trying to capture a spirit or something so she can be the vessel for it so that
Like you do.
like you do. Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, I guess it's not a spirit. It's kind of like a genie thing. They call it a djinn
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, she wants it seemed like she wanted uh one of their wishes to be that she like has her uterus back or whatever.
Uh huh.
But uh so she's like trying to get that to happen, but it doesn't happen and instead the force of all this shit happening like crumbles the house that they're in, but they survive because she portals them to a different room in the house, and then they just start going at it, and it's really funny because uh the singing guy, I can't remember his name.
Dandelion.
Yeah, sure, yeah. And some other guy who's like in love with Yennefer um, are outside, and they think that they're dead, and then the guy who's in love with Yennefer walks up to the window and just sees them fucking, and he's like heartbroken because he's super in love with her, and he just starts crying at them having sex through the window. It's really funny, but
I
but I
I'm
like
curious
it.
to see how that works out.
It's good.
Yeah, the genie stuff is also like part of that story. So I don't know. I've been pretty happy with the first half. Granted, I watched it last week, but it's still like not for this week's podcast, but
Mm-hmm.
last week. And that
This week's podcast.
yeah, they've done everything like relatively well. There are bits and pieces that my mind canon of it is a little different, but that's like hardly a real like critique of it. And I think the characters are played by people who are pretty good at it so far.
Yeah, yeah. I think the cat. I mean, for someone who doesn't have much stake in anything, I think the casting is pretty good.
More
So
mouse sack. That's
yeah,
also my critique. Always
that's
more
all I
mouse sack.
ever want is more mouse sack. So there is more mouse sack to come. I think you get a little bit before the end of the season, but some of it's fake mouse sack. Spoiler.
Oh, shit. I hate to hear that.
Yeah.
Uh, hmm. What? Uh-oh.
Oh no. Oh no.
Pop secret. Hey, it's a pop secret now.
It is. Okay.
This one's not very long. This one's more of a bait and switch pop secret.
Oh shit. Okay.
So this one starts off a story about me and the time that my dad decided to take me to a park by Green Lake to, I don't know, go play with kids or whatever. I not something that I really did a lot as a little kid in like
Yeah.
the direct way, but like it. I remember it being like, oh, we're gonna go hang out with people. So we like got out. I think it was like mid-spring, something like that, and we went to this playground that's like I guess it's not right next to Green Lake. It's next to the zoo in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like I want to say the south entrance of the zoo. There's a park across the street from it, and I went there once in a while, and it's like I don't know, one of the more like well kept parks. At least it was at the time. And I went, and like my dad basically said, "Here, go play with these kids." Like some kids I'd never met before. And I remember it being like slightly awkward because there was never a point in my life where I wasn't awkward. Uh, but I went and did stuff, and my dad was like hanging out with some people, and then like he introduced me to some of his friends, and then we went home, and that was like all that happened. That's the whole story. Uh,
Fun.
I was told like I was told at the time, like, I know that people were making, like, acting kind of weird and making a big-ish deal out of stuff, but, like, I didn't get it because I don't know, like, at the time, I think all I ever saw was, like, The Simpsons or, like, some, like, kid movies and stuff like that, and that's about
Mm-hmm.
it. And, you know, some anime because I had a bad childhood. So uh, they always talked about that as like a thing that I went and did, and then I realized when they were talking about it later, and I had actually seen some stuff, like probably like 2 years later,
Mm-hmm.
So the kids that I was playing with were Kevin Bacon's kids. And
Oh.
my dad was introducing me to Kevin Bacon and like Matt Dillon. And I guess
Oh.
like not people that I had any reason to know who they were, but mostly this story was just to make sure that everybody knows that very specifically their 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon can start with me if they listen to this podcast.
Oh, shit.
And that's been
Wait.
Bob Secret.
Wait. I have a lot of questions, though.
Yeah, I bet.
So, does your dad know Kevin Bacon then? Are they like buds?
He knew Kevin Bacon at the time. That wasn't
Okay.
like a long-standing friendship. People like that are pretty busy.
Really? Oh. I don't know. Wow. Well, I'm really, that's a very cool fact. I'm glad you met Kevin Bacon at a time you didn't know who he was.
Thank you. um, but yeah, I figure it's better to just let the pop secrets organically happen.
Mhm.
I don't want to push the storyline too fast.
Oh yeah, I can't. Is there more to that that's coming at a later pop secret?
There's things that will attach to it, but
Okay,
like that's that whole story.
gotcha.
And I'm out of gin, so I guess it's getting closer to time to talk about cats.
All right, let me
I'm
just hit the
I'm gonna
brandy
grab some
real quick.
coffee.
Okay.
This is the point in the podcast where you sip coffee and you get ready.
Yeah. Yeah, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 pages of notes about cats. And I did not. Oh,
I forgot
I
I
did
got
not.
microwave mine.
You're microwaving it?
Yeah, because it's old coffee and
Mm.
I eat and
Yeah,
drink bad things.
makes sense. I wish I knew like the different titles of the different dance numbers or songs so that any of my notes made sense.
Oh, each song is about a certain cat, so you really only have
Right.
to know that this is like Grisabella's song, though that's the only one that
I
has
mean,
a very specific name that everybody knows.
I guess it's probably just my notes are lacking because I wrote down things like 2-word phrases like toe kisses question mark.
Ugh. I gotta get this coffee.
Okay. I'm so excited to talk about cats. Oh, okay, here we go.
I can hear you getting psyched up from the kitchen.
I'm really excited. Are you
Here
ready to start?
we go.
Here we
Uh,
go.
Welcome
Right.
everybody to the most jellical hour of Cats coverage you've ever heard from Madison.
Yay. Uh, oh God. Okay, where should we start? First of
Well,
all,
we
I
should
looked
start
this
with
up.
the big person who throws them into an alleyway. But what did you look up?
I wanted to look up the budget for this film.
Oh,
$95 million went into making this
yeah,
monstrosity.
good.
So I just want everybody to keep that in the back of their minds while we discuss this. Also, uh, I didn't search this, but this just comes up when you search the budget for cats. It says people also search for the budget of Les Mis, 61 million US dollars. So think about how, I mean, I don't know what your feelings are about Les Mis, but just think Keep that in your brain. That was 61 million. This is 95 million dollars.
That's really rough.
Ugh.
I don't love that it cost that much to make these horrible cat homunculi.
No, I don't like that at all.
They're really a nightmare to look at.
Yeah.
So, just as a real like tone setter, uh, aside from like the very first thing you see, which is that big horrible monster human, like tossing a bag full of what's her name, Francesca? Is that? I
Yeah,
forget.
that's the actress's name. The cat's name is Victoria.
That's right, Victoria. Tossing the Victoria cat into the alleyway. The cat that actually sticks in my nightmares the most is the cat that she meets first, like the guy who is just like sort of a. He has a name, and he has like.
I want to say it starts with an M. It's not Mungo Jerry. It's like
No, it's not Mungo Jerry.
Munkle. It's like Munkle something. But I would say the names are a source of a lot of delight for me. I do like the names of the cats.
Yeah, the names in Cats are not that far off from the names in the Star Wars films.
Yeah, so that's about honestly one of the only things I can get on board with.
Uh-huh.
Is the names. Also, since we're talking about the beginning of the film, I fucking hate the stupid theme, like that they introduce, like the music with the like Nightmare Circus theme. I hate it so much, and it doesn't feel like it goes along with anything. It just is bad.
This just in, that cat's name is Monku Strap. There we go.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I needed to know that. So.
Well, I'm gonna have to mention Monka Strap a few times in this. So.
Okay, good. Yeah, that was my first note. It's just the music is, or that theme in particular, is terrifying.
Well, that weird like dissonant theme is sort of like classic Cats, like the 70s Nightmare Circus thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
It's very appropriate, honestly, but it definitely gives you like a pretty clear notion of what's coming.
Yeah, I think yeah, you're right. It is appropriate. It's unsettling, and I think that's fair.
And like, as far as unsettling goes, I really think we can't overlook the fact that Monku Strap does a lot of face work and really gets up in there and like emotes at people a lot, and I just fucking hate it.
Unfortunately, so I don't have, I mean, I feel like we probably don't even need to address it that much because I think everybody knows that the animation is horrifying in a shit show, but the version of Cats that I was able to get was very, very blurry. So I don't have a lot of notes about like the quality because I mean I just knew it was bad anyway. But
honestly, that might be scarier because it's like when you can't quite make out somebody and they're like on the other side of the room or something.
Yeah.
Like you probably got a still fully authentic Cats experience from that.
Yeah.
But there are little bits and pieces that you probably missed because of that, which you didn't miss them exactly.
I think what I'm most upset about missing in terms of the animation was the mouse people and the cockroach people.
Uh-huh.
I'm real disappointed I did not get to see a fully high quality image of those. I'm sure that was great.
It looks like how old toys had like a painted faceplate that they just stuck to something. Those fucking cockroaches look like horrible little like nightmares. And the little child mice are also like, about as terrifying as you would expect.
Yeah. Um, that's what's her face? What's her name?
Oh, Jenny
Jenny
Any
Any
Dots?
Dots. That's her whole thing. Oh God, I don't even know why they did this weird attempt at like humor by casting Rebel Wilson and James Corden.
Uh-huh.
Like they were like, "Oh, these will be such good." I don't even know. It's
Well,
none of it
everybody's
is
going to take
funny.
the rest of it so seriously that
Right.
we got to get some comedians in there to lighten up the mood.
Right.
They're really going to kill it.
Yeah, we really need a break from this hard-hitting story that's going on. I every time either Jenny Any Dots or James Corden were on screen, I was just full body cringing the whole time. It was rough, and I was really happy when McCavity came and started taking people away. I was like, thank fucking God.
Yeah, it did help. Uh,
Yeah.
what doesn't help is that Rebel Wilson's IMDb picture is just her face. So now all I see is her as that fucking cat.
Yeah, that's what I want. I also, speaking of that, where are all the cats like Snapchat, Instagram filters? Like I know somebody made some. Where are they? I want to use them.
Yeah, honestly, it kind of annoys me that there isn't more cat stuff. It's like they're trying to sweep it under the rug. Like if you go into any like GIF collection or like search for stuff, most of them are of the old Broadway production. Like you
Yeah.
don't get really anything from the new movie, which is like anti-advertising almost.
Yeah. I will so after I watched it, I watched a bunch of people's like YouTube reactions or whatever. And there was one person, I can't remember who it was, who was talking about how I mean, you can kind of tell when you're watching the movie that they thought this was going to be a big, like, artsy
Woo!
monument.
It was a big artsy monument.
Just not in the way at all that they wanted. But I think they were like, the person was talking about how it used to be on Universal's page, like for your consideration for
Yeah.
what is it, Oscars or whatever? I don't know things, but they like took it down, and I would not be surprised if them just trying to like scrub it off the internet is also happening. So that's funny.
It's a real shame because I agree with a lot of people I've heard say that like this totally makes sense as a like Rocky Horror Picture Show, like future like live interaction garbage movie to watch. And I'm
Yeah.
super excited for it. I don't think it has like the kind of outreach like fun that something like Rocky Horror does, where you're getting horror movies and you're getting like sort of a transparent sexuality that is nice to see. Like
Yeah.
you get that in Rocky Horror, and in this you're getting like psychosexual, uh
Yes.
like, oh, look at the cats, there's no genitals, but you know you want to fuck it. Like it's real weird
That's
energy that they're
the
throwing
whole
at
movie.
you. Like
It's
the still just the fact that some of them wear clothes and shoes, and
right.
some of them have like cool like stupid ears, and some of them are like clearly just people in like bad makeup because it's cheaper. Like
Yeah.
it's oh it's really
Mhm.
confusing to see.
Deeply, I think I wrote down on like 5 different occasions just the phrase deeply unsettling and
Yes.
and disturbing. It's just so fucking weird. Why is it so sexual without like I fucking hate it. That the way that they move, the way like just sometimes the choreography actually okay, sometimes the dancing and the choreography is really cool,
Uh-huh.
but they go out of their way to like pull you out of that.
Oh,
So
like it. It's the perfect point in the movie. It's like probably about halfway, uh, where Ian McKellen's cat
hell
like
yeah.
sexually
God.
excites Judy Dench's cat, and she throws her legs up in the air and stuff, and it's just the most repellent like
So,
no thank you. Um,
also, speaking of that character, I fucking love his name is Gus. Like
yeah.
we have fucking Monka Strap, Rum Tum Tugger, Skimble Shanks,
Uh-huh.
uh, Old Deuteronomy, and Gus. Like, although I guess his full name was Asparagus, which also doesn't make sense, but that's fine. Uh, oh, the other first thing that I wrote down was I hate the Jellicle song with everything.
Yeah, because the
Every
Jellicle
part
song
of the
sucks. It's oh
movie.
shit. They have IMDb for the cockroaches. Ugh.
Oh my god.
Over
Wait.
here in Vor Corner. Oh, and the mouses. Yuck.
I would not put that on my IMDb, to be honest. I don't think I would want that, but um,
I would.
God. uh, there's one part of that stupid Jellicle song where they're just saying like cats, but with like different kinds of adjective, like magical cats. They say magical cats, I think, like 8 times, and
Uh-huh.
then another one that stood out was clerical cats. I want to know what a clerical cat is. Also, metaphysical cats, which I think is
Uh-huh.
the best concept out of that song.
I mean, it's T.S. Eliot fucking going nuts on himself. It's I don't know. It's a lot of uh, it's a lot of challenging concepts of what a cat should be. Uh, should a cat unzip itself and have a vest on underneath? And should a
I
cat unzip itself and have a jacket on underneath? Like, is that okay?
I think we can resoundingly say no. That should never happen. Um, I think I was watching one interview with the director Tom Hooper, and he was talking about how I guess Disney had gone to T.S. Eliot in the past and been like, "Hey, we want to do it cats," and he was like, "No, you're gonna do like cartoon cats. I don't want cartoon cats." And so Tom Hooper's like, "Hey, I'm just trying to stay true to the T.S. Eliot vision, which is nightmarish and like people cats." And I feel like he oof, I don't know. I feel like you could have done this in a way that's less nightmare inducing.
Well, and honestly, I think it should be a nightmare because the music is bad. Like, I know
Yeah.
there's lots of people out there who will defend memories. Fine. It is an emotional song, but I don't think it's a
Mm.
good song. Uh, I think it's better than a lot of pop music, so I guess there's that. But I think a lot of pop music is awful.
Also bad. Uh,
Uh, I
um,
it's like a movie that's designed for small children to like because it sounds interesting, yet
but
nothing about this movie should ever be seen by a small child unless you want to
right.
like damage them and probably like voluntary or not push them into furryism, which like we already have plenty of Disney movies to do that for us. We don't need human cat monsters thrusting at people to
Right.
like remind them, hey, there's options out there. Because
Well,
there
I mean,
are options out there, just maybe not these cat monsters.
yeah, I mean, like speaking of need, who asked for this movie? No, like whoever thought that I can't I can't imagine. I don't understand how this got made. I don't get that. Like, I I will give it to them that I'll give them that this is different and interesting. and that's probably the only merit I can think of to give it. But other than that, I'm really confused on like how they decided that they were going to allocate $95 million into making a Cats movie. It's
Like, to
not
be
good.
fair, I'm probably the audience for this movie. I love garbage, and this movie's perfect for that. But like,
Yeah.
it it doesn't make sense that it exists. Like,
Right.
this is the kind of thing I would expect a country that has like really good arts funding to end up with, because you get funding from the government to enrich the government with your work. You're going to get things that are like
Weird.
outside of like what you would expect. And
Right.
that's perfect. Like, I think more cats should exist, but I
Maybe
don't
we should
know.
make some good movies first.
And mostly I just don't know how it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe we could have put some of that cat's money into lawyers to break up Disney so we could have good movies again. That would
Yeah, I
be cool.
mean, we could do that. Like also, I don't understand how they got the cast that they have. A lot of these people are like really important and popular. Like I guess Judi Dench was like super fucking stoked to be in Cats,
I
and it
think I heard
shows.
Ian McKellen was too.
I mean, that shows too. Like, honestly, I liked her, and I didn't know this, but I guess in the I've never seen the musical, but I guess usually in the musical, Old Deuteronomy is a old cat dude, so they did like a gender switch there, and I
Well,
think that's
yeah.
cool.
Old Deuteronomy can kind of be whatever.
It's like a god figure.
But also like I that does bring up something that I think is worth mentioning. In the original, Old Deuteronomy is sort of like your focal point. Like, all the cats do music, and Old Deuteronomy is kind of like your focus through that.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't work as well for the movie, so that's why Victoria is like the focal point, and you follow her through this stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I Everything about the idea of this, uh, to me, is Old Deuteronomy lying to all these cats.
Yeah.
And then, because Old Deuteronomy is the only one who's come back, right? Like, that's the only proof you have that cats have a rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
And then the cat that everybody picks essentially gets launched into space, and they never see him again. Like, that's the
Yeah.
whole structure of this thing. And I feel like the real story of cats is there's a like wise older cat that just wants to stay the wise older cat and just keeps throwing out cats once a year that are like too popular.
Yeah.
Uh, but who knows? That's how I read it.
Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, I once I started reading about like okay, so the first I had no experience with Cats the musical or any I didn't know where any of it came from. So I the first thing I looked up is what the fuck is a jellicle? I googled that like 8 times because I didn't understand what was happening in the first 10 seconds, and I was like,
Did
I
you
don't
did you find the
understand what it
answer
does.
at least?
So kind of like I got the origin of Jellicle, which I
Yeah.
guess is like it comes from T.S. Eliot's niece couldn't pronounce the phrase "dear little"
Yeah.
when they were saying like "dear little cats" or whatever. So she said Jellicle, so that's what he just stuck with. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cute. And then cats makes it into kind of a nightmare with just the it
Uh-huh.
becoming like a stand-in adjective for everything. Like I don't even know. They just describe everything as jellicle, which
But
is
at the end, they do
so.
tell you what it means. Uh,
Oh, I have a lot of notes about that scene.
yeah.
Don't like it.
You don't like having like the camera pan into just the face. Did you
Never so
know
many
that
times
cats
in a
aren't
in a
dogs? Because that's an important thing to
Oh
know.
my god, that line. I specifically wrote that down because you could so the way that they're doing everything like the way that scene goes, you can tell it's like the end of the movie. Also, I could tell
Right.
because I was checking the timestamp every 30 seconds
Yeah,
to
that
make sure
movie
it was ending.
seems way longer than you'd think, right?
It's so long. Like after the first here I am a new character introducing myself in this song. Like after the first one, I was like,
Uh-huh.
fuck, we have to be halfway through this, right? Nope. But so in that scene, never so many times have I been like faked out by a movie that it was ending and
Uh-huh.
then it didn't end. And I love, yeah, that line where old Deuteronomy is like, hey, guess what? We're not dogs.
Hey.
And up until then, it's like really not serious, but it's like nice. It's kind of like, oh, they have a shot where I guess the sun is either rising or setting. I think it's rising. And they're like watching the balloon go away. And it's kind of like, yay, this is the end. And then
Uh-huh. Yay.
and she's like, guess what? Cats aren't dogs. And guess what else? There's like 3 more verses that I can't remember, but just telling us what a freaking jellicle is, and it never fucking ends. I hated that part.
It was rough. So none of this has to be in order. I think it's really important to note that Mr. Mistopheles' Monka strap and Victoria around her head as she's like singing at the end, well, like sing talking,
Yeah.
they're all like acting the shit out of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're just like up by her face, like ooh, ooh. And like when I think she mentions milk, and they all go like,
Yeah.
It's just like I can't with
I
this
hate
shit.
it.
Like there's so much like tongue work and like eyebrow work in that scene.
Yeah. And
It's
she's like in
disgusting.
it's awful, and she's during that song like breaking the fourth wall, right? She's like talking to the camera or
Yeah.
singing talking to the camera. And that felt weird too because it's the only time they do it in the whole movie, which I that I can think of. I mean,
I mean,
not I can't remember another time. I feel like there might be other times, but
the whole movie is kind of staring into you.
yeah, but it
To be
feels
fair,
weird that at the end she's like, "Hey,
you.
you guess what the fuck a jellicle is?" And now I'm gonna tell you for like 5 minutes. Um,
Did you know that there's also pollicle dogs?
yes, I did read about the pollicle dogs, and I want to know at Tom Hooper, when are we getting dogs?
Uh-huh. Um, the best part about that is if you read the description of what pollicle dogs are, it's clearly poor little dogs.
Yeah.
And instead of being like uptown London, they're down by the river. Like
Mhm.
they're like it sounds like they're in like the fishing district basically. Uh and it sounds like all the descriptors of it is that they're very, very sad. And I want that movie. Like that would be the perfect
Yeah.
pairing with this is like all the songs are like memories and then like one of them is like a poppy tune. Like
Yes.
that would be so much better if you're watching and for anybody who hasn't seen this shit, it's important to remember that when you watch a Disney movie and there's like too many songs in it, there's like 7 songs usually, and
Mm.
it gets kind of grating if you're like an adult watching a Disney movie. If you're thinking about that, this cuts out all the other stuff. So
Yep.
you get like 14 songs and they're just crammed next to each other with like tiny bits of like maybe walking a little bit in between, but you don't ever get a break. Like,
Hmm.
how long is the movie?
Oh, God, let's see. What does IMDb say? 1 hour is 2 hours long.
Yeah, so it is two
God.
hours of like a single music video, and
Yep.
it's just too long. Like you can't do that to people.
No, no, you can't. It's fucking not nice. And I came to the conclusion based on that, like the fact that so we're adapting a musical to film, which nobody asked for in the first place. And like the film, I don't know how well it sticks to like the plot of the musical, but I'm pretty sure I came to the conclusion that I would hate this musical too. This fucking
Oh,
sucks. Like it's not good at all. All
uh,
of the
I
songs just are the same fucking formula of I am a cat. This is the kind of cat I am. Now we're gonna go see the next cat. Like that's
the so I've only ever seen the old VHS before this. Like,
uh,
I saw some student production stuff of Cats on a birthday where I actually was just hanging out with two people this week on one of my no, it was a dentist day too. God, this week was weird. Um, I had a friend in town, and then another friend that you know, Natalie, came out, and the three of us were part of a birthday I had where my other friend uh, like looked up some random shit, like I think on their phone while we were like out doing something else, and then we ended up at a house that had a movie, like not a movie screen, it had a fucking projector out, and it was like uh like video art fans like doing a critique, but there were only like three
mhm.
people there, and then we showed up, and it was like my birthday showed up at this house, and they were showing examples of things that they liked, and it was like work that they had filmed, but one of them just had a bunch of pieces of like songs from a student production of Cats that I think was from the Seattle area. So
Mhm.
I've seen the old VHS that's like pretty fucking long, if I remember. I've seen weird student productions of Cats from around here, and then this movie, and that's my whole extent of like Cats intake.
Mhm.
And there is no version of this that isn't upsetting in some way. Uh,
Mhm.
but um, Nick, my roommate and unofficial official fourth member of this podcast, uh, he saw Cats off Broadway with I think his parents.
Oh really?
I believe that's who he went with, and so uh, he he was also mystified by this movie, but he had gone and experienced the big stinky room full of cats already.
I could. That is probably the only setting in which I would be interested in seeing this,
In a
because
theater.
in a theater or not just theater, Broadway. That is the only place
Yeah.
I would be like, I'm gonna give money to for this to happen to me. Because the only cool parts about this is like the dancing and supposed to be the singing, I think too. But that's pretty.
Yeah. Uh,
Like even Taylor Swift's cameo is not great.
well, and I don't really like Taylor Swift, so I was kind of like, ah, it's
Yeah.
fine. It's in there. I do think it is hilarious that Taylor Swift and Andrew Lloyd Webber made that song together specifically for the like, well, we're definitely going to get like an Emmy for this, so we want to make sure we have best original music in Cats. It's like, that song's not very good, and neither is the movie, so I don't know about that.
Yeah.
uh, I still agree with that. Um, whoever made Cats, uh, in reference to Hopper, I think mostly, should either get a Razzie, an Emmy, or be sent to prison. Like, I think that's the only way you can look at this is like, yeah,
Maybe all three.
there needs to be a societal response to the fact that Cats exists, but I have no idea what it should be because, like, even after seeing it, like, I don't best worst hands. Like I don't know what you give them as a commendation. Uh, could you see in your version Judy Dench's painted tiny fingernails?
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh God.
Uh, I'm gonna open up a side window, see if I can find some pictures to send you just for the effect of it, just so you know what I'm getting
I
at.
I was actually surprised they didn't go farther with the fingernails. The only person that I noticed, or maybe it's the version I watched, but the only person I noticed with like noticeable hand stuff going on was Jennifer Hudson. And she had like
Yeah.
acrylics or something, which I expected from everybody, but no.
And just to be clear, I think Jennifer Hudson killed it for what she was doing, but I think that like everybody in that, pasting somebody's face to what is essentially a vaguely head-shaped like form
Mm-hmm.
is disgusting. And like her head measurements completely change in that like digital format,
Yeah.
and then when you take away all the hair and you take away all of the like defining features of humanity on a person, they are horrible to look at. And it was really upsetting to watch Jennifer Hudson like try to sing the shit out of that movie while
Mm-hmm.
also looking just disgusting.
I, I have a lot of respect for her in this movie. She very much committed to the role, and I think she showed pretty much everybody else up, with the exception of like Judy Dench. I liked her in this just because you can tell that she's having fun.
Yeah.
Same thing with what's his name, Ian McKellen. Is that right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, Ian
Um,
McKellen.
yeah, I liked them because you can tell that they're having fun. Jennifer Hudson, I feel like, was acting too well for the movie.
Yeah,
I
well,
think she could have brought it down a few notches and it would have been fine. Like, although
now,
I do appreciate the constant snot
ugh,
bubble run she has going.
but how about the part where she just gets down on all like her hands and knees and like starts shuffling away?
I hate
Like
that. I hate it. That's like that happens a lot in that one. I think it's like when the Jellicle Ball is starting and they do, all of them are doing their dancing, and there's just like, God, how did I even phrase this? I don't know. It was so upsetting the way they were moving. It was
yeah.
like uh, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. I wanted to say like seizing, but not. It was just like, this is a podcast, so you can't see what I'm doing, but it just like, how do you describe what? I don't know. I hated it. I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna end up saying that like 200 times. Uh, God, I don't know if it was an issue. Actually, I know it's not an issue with just the animation because I was curious like how they did the animation, so I watched a couple videos about it. And basically what they did is they had everybody wearing motion capture suits,
Hmm.
and then they did their thing. So I'm going to blame it on the choreography. Like, a lot of this read much more to me like monkey than cat. Just the way,
Yeah, you're not
especially
wrong.
especially when there are some cats that will like run on all fours for a little bit, and sometimes they're just walking like a person, but anytime they go down on all fours it just looks like a monkey to me. So
All right. Well, as with everything, there is a severe lack of images to see of
Judy
this.
Dench's fingernails.
Yeah, you can look for it.
Oh,
Judy Dench's tiny cat feet is also something you could look for if you would like to put that into your
another
computer.
just another reason to make a trip to our favorite website, WikiFeet.
Oh.
Oh my God. I wonder if they have entries from cats.
God, I
Cats
hope so.
2019. Wow, their website is real slow. Okay.
A
Feet
lot
of
of
the
a lot of
year.
traffic. It's Saturday.
Oh, yep. That's probably. Oh, no results from that. I don't know. Probably not worth dedicating too much time to.
Yeah, probably
Um,
not. Well,
God.
you know how sometimes they won't try very hard on like action figures or toys or something, and they'll put basically just little straight down feet that like that's what Judi Dench was walking on in that movie.
Oh,
It was just horrible little like cat pegs.
oh, cat pegs. That's what we don't want.
Cat pegs is going to be on the top 10 of Pornhub's next metrics list.
Oh, god damn. I wonder. I'm kind of curious to see how much cats is showing up on Pornhub right about now.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a porn parody, right? But what do you call
Yeah.
it? Because it's just called cats.
Pussies.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's just pussy with a little s at the end. Yeah.
That's probably it. One other performance I wanted to mention was Jason Derulo.
Uh-huh.
Yay!
Yeah. Uh
He was in
his
it. Go ahead.
they changed something between the movie and the previews because they keep showing that scene where he's like sticking his head out of what I think is like a doggy door, and then he like zips back into the doggy door and it like closes. In the movie, in the theater, I swear to Christ, it had him like get real close and then zip back in. And it was a lot to deal with visually. Um, Also,
I
that
love it.
character is basically just a curious is apparently code for this cat fucks.
I mean, that's basically what you're saying. I think when you cast Jason Derulo as your as your R&B rock star cat.
Yeah.
I really hated that part when he's got like a stage and he's singing. Also, his name is Rum Tum Tugger, which
Yeah.
I don't like at
You don't
all.
like?
I don't like that.
You don't like the word tugger being in a name?
No, I don't. I don't like it. I don't.
I think if you typed in tugging a rum tum, you would probably find something.
And that's the reason I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Um, I was really disappointed that he doesn't really have any other scenes. He just does his one thing where he's like, "Hey guys, I'm Rum Tum Tugger, and I fuck," and that's
Yep.
basically it. Like, I don't think he does anything else for the rest of the movie.
Okay, I'm gonna get on this stage and every girl cat come up and like get real close to the edge of it, and I'm gonna dribble a little milk over here because that's not disgusting.
I hate every time there's like a scene where like all the cats are supposed to be going nuts, like all the girl cats are going nuts at Jason Derulo cat, and they actually put in like real cat sounds, like caterwauling, and it's fucking awful. I hate it. It's so bad. I hate that, especially if you've heard it in real life, like you've heard cats fighting or something. It's just gross.
Yeah.
Gross. But he does deliver my favorite line of the movie in the scene where I can't remember if this is in the middle of his music number or like right after, but he comes out of the milk bar, which is a bar for milk because they're cats.
A real bar, but it's human sized. Like
right.
Like in London, there's a like Legend of Zelda milk bar for some reason.
Oh, interesting. Well, this one is. It seems like for the cats, like it's all mostly sized to them, right? Or is it human sized? I couldn't.
It's impossible to tell. Like it changes size in everything in that movie.
Yeah.
Like when they show the long shot of them like tap dancing down that fucking train line, and it's like,
yeah,
yes, okay, I get it. They're very small, but then they're like half the size of like a human when they're in town sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, but anyway, what Rum Tum Tugger brings to this movie is him going outside the milk bar, screaming, "Milk!" And then he runs back inside. And that's pretty good. I liked that a lot.
I think that whole thing of him doing that just rolled right over me when I was watching it in the theater. I think like most of my theater experience was me sitting there and then every couple minutes going like, oh.
It's still happening to me.
There were some people in the theater I was in that was not super full that were actively like asking people to be polite, which was also a weird experience. Like, are you looking at this? Like, were you here for like high art? Because like I understand wanting to get your full experience, but like I feel like part of the full experience, if you're even willing to see cats, is the fact that people are going to be horrified the whole time. Like that's part of the point.
Yeah. If you're going because I don't know. If you're going because you like Cats, the musical and the songs and everything, I suggest watching it at home, not in a theater.
Or
because
like or going to a theater like in the morning or something.
yeah,
Like
do it on your own time because
I'll tell you, it's not going to be hard to find an empty theater if you want.
yeah, I would highly suggest that if you're going there to genuinely enjoy some art, question mark.
Or like if you just it's the only way you can jerk off, like
yeah, I mean, definitely do it at home then, but
you'll want to get an 11 o'clock movie. It'll be totally empty.
Oh my god. Yeah, one of the ways that I summed up this movie in my notes was, no, I can't find it. Fuck. Well, I just wrote the question: is this just a feature-length fetish fest? And the answer is yes.
Yeah,
absolutely. It really, truly is. It's so uncomfortably sexual. I don't get it. Like, isn't this? It's PG, but it's just so. It feels like something that should not be that at all.
So, I kind of agree with a lot of the arguments of like, is ASMR a fetish thing or not? Because I know a lot of people like to say, well, no, it's just a thing that I'm into. And that's also totally legit. Like, you can like what Cats is, and that can just be like, you're into that kind of thing as like an idea. Because I kind of like that they did this, and I would totally show people like 5 minutes, like segments of it, and be like, look at this shit. You have to see it. But I would also show people like 5 minute segments, maybe shorter, of ASMR videos and be like, can you believe they're doing this? I'm glad they're doing it because it's super weird.
Yeah.
But once you move into the part where you're like watching it like, oh, I love it, this is amazing, it's harder to determine like what's going on, because ASMR, like that description of it as being almost like S&M in a weird way, makes a lot of sense. I think Cats the movie is kind of like that too, where like the only way to get out of watching Cats the movie once you're there is to walk out of the theater. Like, you've paid for a service to have 2 hours of what for a normal person is probably at least half misery. And if you're going to be there and have them do that to you, then you just need to accept that like that's a weird thing you're into. Like, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's how I watched it. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a sexual fetish, but I think that it does mean that it's a thing that's weird that you're into, not just it's a normal thing that everybody likes the same.
Yeah.
And that's my light kink shaming segment of this podcast.
I'm 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 gonna go out and say if you're kink shaming cats, I'm okay with that. That's a kink I'm okay with shaming a little bit.
And don't fuck real cats. Like, I'll put that
Oh,
out there.
dear God. No, I mean,
Like
please.
you could put like tape and plastic bags on your penis or whatever. You can make ASMR happen if you want, but cats are way too small, and nobody should do anything to cats. So just leave them alone.
Please leave
They
cats alone.
they don't want it. You don't really want it, and if you do actually want it, you should talk to somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just, I think just one more reason why I think it's just absolute like nightmare fetish material is because there's no fucking story to this thing at
No, there is
all.
a story. This weird old cat is gonna fucking launch this other cat that nobody likes into space.
All right,
That's
okay,
the
so I'll
story.
rephrase. There's no fucking good story. There's no plot. Especially, okay, that's probably a better way of putting it is that the plot is bad because half the movie is just introducing the characters, and I can only assume that the musical is the same fucking way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're what, an hour and a half into your movie slash musical and you're still introducing people, I think that's a sign that you've done something very, very wrong. And yeah, and you might
Um,
Tom Hooper.
maybe. I wonder if I could make a movie so bad that no one would watch it. I bet.
I don't know. I think I think I agree with you that I'm glad that this was made. Um because I it is one of those things that occupies the space between like uh this is bad but boring and like it's bad but it's exciting to
Uh-huh.
watch. Bad in an exciting way. This to me leans a little more towards bad but boring.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think that it's just the animation that makes it bad but exciting to
Yeah,
talk
like
about at
in
least.
some ways there are parts of it that weren't fucked up enough to keep my attention. Like
Yeah.
when they just sort of dance around and there's some trash cans that are big, it's like, okay, sure, there's some big trash cans. That's kind of gross, like when they knock them over, but I don't know.
Yeah. Like for example, Mungo Jerry and fuck, what's her name?
Rumple teaser.
Rumble teaser. I thought that whole thing was super boring. Although, at the end where there's a dog that's like on the other side of the door,
Yeah.
I got really excited about that because I was like, oh, we're gonna see a dog. Like, I'm excited.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna see how they do that. And of course, no, that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
They
it's
like
just
throw
a
the dog.
big tease. They don't do
Yeah,
anything with it.
I'm like, I want to see, uh, uh, what do you even call it? I want to see a people dog. Like, are you? How does that
uh,
happen?
I mean, I don't think it can be a pollicle dog because it's in a house, but I
Yeah.
think it can at least be a weird, like, human crawling around on their hands and knees
Yeah,
with
that's
dog
what I
ears.
wanted. I was like, okay, they're either gonna commit to this and make it amazing, or they're just gonna totally squander this opportunity, and they totally squandered it.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I would have
well,
loved that if the dog chased him out of the house and it was just somebody on their hands and knees walking
right,
after.
right, and I don't understand why they didn't, because they did it to the mice and the cockroaches, which again nobody asked for, and that was
Oh,
bad.
it would have been too weird to have a dog.
Right. That's where we draw the line, is the dog. But God, I mean,
Who's
they have Rebel Wilson eat the cockroach people, and that's like fine.
Yeah.
That's okay, but we can't do a dog. Okay, whatever.
I think we're gonna get flagged. There was just a shirtless Evan walking through from the bathroom.
There was a what?
No,
Oh, were you just naked now?
no, not naked. It's off to the side. It won't even show it in our split screen.
Oh God. Oh, it's like he knows we're podcasting, so he knows he can't just be straight up naked right now.
I mean, you can do whatever you want. I
Although
don't want.
it has happened before. Oh, God, what else? What else? Some of my notes are like not legible at all because I was in a hurry. Oh God, the cat puns? What the fuck?
Uh-huh.
Like, who let that happen? Come on, like all the comedy attempts in this movie were bad. I feel like it was supposed to be for the kids, probably, to kind of take the ease off how scary everything was. But like,
Are you okay? What was this rated? PG? Like,
yeah, I think so.
so people did bring their kids to this, right?
I mean, somebody did, somebody did. Poor kids. Like,
Can
I
you
mean, 'cause
imagine like bringing your kids to this and they're like 8 or something and then getting home and having to like talk
explain.
to them about what is art? Can they do that with movies now? Like,
I think I would much rather take my kid to like a very sexually explicit film because
yeah,
I
because
can explain.
this movie is like the equivalent of like telling people that babies are born from like cabbage patches. Like,
Yeah, yeah, it totally is. Um, yeah, so I don't know. The every time they tried to make it funny was really bad. There's all of Rebel Wilson's everything was terrible, and I think that was a bad decision to have her in it. Same thing with James Corden. He has like one scene where he like splits a barrel, and it's like a haha, he hurt his cat dick joke.
uh-huh. He has to have multiple people jump on the other side of the seesaw to launch him. Ha!
Get it? Because he's fat and he's
Got that
a
fat
cat.
fuck.
Yeah. What's Rebel Wilson saying? Oh, she sticks her hand in a mousetrap.
Yeah.
Oh, and she unzips her skin multiple times. That's not a comedy thing. That's just a thing that happens.
And she eats those cockroach women.
Yeah, I would actually love to know. That's probably not a thing that happens in the musical, right? The skin unzipping.
I
Is
don't
that just
believe so. Yeah, as I remember it,
a
she
lot?
just like is a normal ass like cat thing like everything else. And they do have like I think they have the like cockroaches as a visual element. I think it might just be mice. I can't remember, but I remember it just being like those little figures that you like pull across like a big line of them on like string or something.
Hmm.
I think it's like a very stage kind of thing. Like, oh yeah,
Oh,
there's bugs. Like it's not really anything. Like,
yeah.
and then in
Okay.
this, they're just like fucking Joe's apartment nightmares that are got little faces too, and she just like. "Arr." Also, like, does Vor not get you like a PG-13 rating? Is that just fine now?
Anything goes when you're a jellicle cat,
I
Jesse.
guess. I guess. And those mice were children essentially, and they just were walking around mouse traps. Like, I don't think that's really good
Yeah,
either.
the life of a. Well, I guess they're not jellicle mice. They're just mice, because only jellicle cats are a thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just God. I think it's something that you like have to force people to watch for sure. I think everyone should see it just to
Uh,
see that it got made.
so I know that we're gonna have it at our place as soon as it's available.
Hmm.
Um, I assume Evan didn't watch it.
No.
Uh, we should get a viewing party together
Yes.
in which
Absolutely, we should.
we tell people, no, we're going to make good food and we're going to have drinks. And like we have this table now that we can have people at. Lots of space. We can probably fit like 16 people in our place. But we also have this big screen, and I and Nick get to say what's on the screen, which is very
Oh,
powerful.
I Yep. Yep.
and it's sealed.
Yeah.
The contract has been signed.
Oh my god. Yeah, that has to happen at some point. I do want this is definitely a movie that is gonna be more fun to watch with people because
Oh,
by myself I just wanted it to be over.
I just saw it with my roommate and his boyfriend, and just having the three of us there was like, yes, this works because I can look to my left and see two people just like
Horrified.
like disgusted by what they're seeing. Um,
Yeah.
it was really good to see it in a theater and like feel the pain of it getting to like a point where like when they get to the building and they do the like more full version of memories for the first time before
Mhm.
they do like the later 2 or 3 versions of it they do,
Mhm.
um when they are like in the middle of memories, that's probably like coming up on the halfway point, like before they introduce like Ian McKellen and all that.
Yeah.
That felt like the movie should be over in the theater. Like it had been so exhausting to watch the fucking Jenny Any Dots and fucking James Corden do their shit. And
Yeah.
I think that was even like that might have been post Rumple Teaser and Mungo Jerry. Like there was a
Yeah.
lot of shit that happened before that. And when you get there, you're just like, I'm so fucking tired. Like this movie has been punching me in the face for like it has to be almost over. But that's like an hour in. Like it can't possibly be more than that because there's so much left. You have to watch that fucking cat soft shoe around, and you have to watch Judy Dench like cat toe tiptoe into that fucking building and
Mhm.
have like a kind of gross fur coat body. Like
Also, why is the cats wearing fur coats?
I don't know.
Why is that happening? Also, who was making these tiny fur coats for the cats?
Also, I'm not 100% convinced that that wasn't just supposed to be her. Like she
Oh,
never takes it off, but
that's
it's almost
true.
worse because if it's her, then she has like these giant folds of skin that emulate the edges of a fur coat.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even actually think of it that there isn't there another. Oh yeah, Grisabella, Jennifer Hudson. She has like a fur coat too.
Yeah, but she also
Yeah,
never takes it off, so I
you're
don't know if
right.
that's supposed to be different. The only
Shit.
except Idris Elba's fucking what's his name?
McCavity.
Yeah, McCavity. uh you get so used to seeing him in this like outfit where he looks like a I don't know, like a fancy street tough, I guess, maybe.
He his costume design reminds me a lot of the evil rat from like the Great Mouse Detective.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. uh yeah, so he's looking like a fucking like 1920s gangster in London
Yeah.
who's already had some success but still has like ratty clothes or something. And
Mhm.
then fucking like 2/3 of the way through the movie, he shows up and he just is naked. And it's like, this is
Yep.
the worst. Now he's just naked, and now they're all just naked, and I'm just
Mhm.
looking at it. Like, you can think about all of them as being sort of in a cat suit until that point, but
Mhm.
even like when Jenny Anydots unzips her skin, underneath there's a cat with a added vest on. Like she has more
Yeah.
clothes on. So it's just sort of a weird mind fuck. But when you have him show up, he's like, "Oh, I've got glowing eyes and a bunch of stuff on," and then he just has nothing on. And Nick pointed out if you look closely at his thighs, which you can look very closely at his thighs in this
Yep.
movie,
Yep. Yep.
you can see a line where like bike shorts are. Like it's
Oh
faint,
no.
but like you can see where he had like smoothed like clothing and smoothed skin that they adjusted for the movie. And there's a very slight difference between them. So then it's even more confusing because it's like now it feels like maybe he's a fake cat man wearing a skin suit, and the rest of them
Yeah.
are like, it's impossible to know because it's disgusting to think about any of the options.
Yeah, all of the options are bad. But the like it is very um it is very much up until then. Yeah, like everybody's got a cat suit on, especially because you can see I'm trying to find a picture of it, but like
You're trying to
uh
find a picture of it.
of the thing I'm thinking of. So McCavity has like some serious cat abs.
Uh-huh.
And they also go out of their way to give all of the cat women like boobs. Like Taylor Swift has cat boobs, very
Yeah.
obviously.
Well, and a
Um,
lot of the other
which
cats have like sort of the same body shape, but they increase it a little bit for the lady cats.
yeah. Um, God, there was one shot in particular that I remember seeing, and I was like, "Dang, Idris Elba has some mad cat abs," but I can't find it.
Yeah,
There's
because
a
the internet has scrubbed cats off of it.
I think they have. I think you're right because there is one very distinct. I have a distinct memory. There's a shot that's like a full body shot. He's standing next to somebody and they're like dancing, and it is lit so you can see the rippling cat abs, but it's not. It doesn't exist on the internet apparently.
Yeah, you're not
So
allowed to know.
I
You
guess
have to see it from the initial start point or nothing.
Oh, unfortunately, I'm not invested enough to find it in the movie that I downloaded. So I guess you'll just have to picture that on your own
I
time.
I think if I somehow end up with a bunch of time that isn't going to the dentist and shit, I'm just gonna get a ripped copy of Cats and make it my goal to flood the internet with GIFs from the movie, high resolution, good quality GIFs, so everybody can see all of this shit in small form. I
It's
want
like
I want James Corden cat stroking his mustache. I want Taylor Swift cat like arching her back on that weird moon thing. All of
yep.
it.
I mean, you know that they must be trying to like scrub it off the internet because I mean, just think like the cast is Taylor Swift, Rebel Wilson, James Corden. How do gifs of those people doing cat things not exist?
Yeah.
Like they must be doing something. So I do hope you continue and do this like horrible Robin Hood
my
esque crusade.
my dark patterns will be seen by the internet.
uh, it's like yeah, it's like Robin Hood, except for you're stealing and giving us something that nobody wants.
Yeah, I'm going to the hospital and bringing back all the bedpans to pour on people's yards.
That is yep. That's a
I remember them
pretty
showing a
straightforward
shot of
choice.
Rebel Wilson when she goes to unzip her cat suit and it
Mm.
like zooms in a little bit. So I want that gif of just ooh and then like another cat suit under it. Like that's what I'm talking about.
I want a gif of when Rum Tum Tugger is doing some sort of like cool or no, it's not Rum Tum Tugger. It's like the weird twins that are his backup dancers or whatever that come out and they're doing like
The ones that
popping
have
and
shoes
locking.
on,
Yeah, sure.
they're the only cats that wear shoes.
Yeah,
Well,
you know.
some of them have ballet slipper feet, but they
Yeah.
have shoes on.
Well, of course you need shoes if you're them as a cat. So like there's one scene where they're both doing this pop and lock whatever dance, and then it pans to Rebel Wilson, and she's like, "I can do that," and so she does her own dance, and it's
Yeah,
really good.
it's pretty terrible to see.
But pretty in line with Rebel Wilson. Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't think she's worse off for being in this movie because they basically just casted her to play herself.
Hmm.
I think so. Same with James Corden for the most part.
In all the stuff I saw when I was like looking at possible tickets for the movie, James Corden had top billing, which is crazy to me. Like,
What?
yeah, like all of the theater listings were like Cats starring, and then it would say James Corden, and then
No.
like list off the other people. It's like that's crazy. Like, and I know that character doesn't have a ton of time in that story, so
No, he doesn't.
like I went into the movie thinking like he must have done like an amazing performance of some kind or he wouldn't be top billed. And then I see his stuff and it's like maybe the most forgettable. Scribble Shanks is like kind of near the end and not like super notable, but they do have that train set that is interesting. Because they kind of turn
Mm.
it into like a weird little like we're on our way to Hogwarts for a second scene. But
Yeah, I think actually that was my favorite musical number. I liked he's the tap dancer one, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I actually liked that. I think I like tap dancing, but I like the part where he's doing it to make it sound like the railroad.
Uh-huh.
That part is cool. And then I also wrote down at the end of that one, he just floats into the air and explodes. And I think that's supposed
Yeah.
to be that's supposed to be McCavity's doing, but it's not super clear. I don't know. Maybe that was just because I was watching it with like 4 pixels in a really bad quality setting, but I couldn't see at all McCavity in that shot or even related. So he just
Uh,
like spins really fast into the air and just goes boom.
did you enjoy how whenever McCavity would teleport, he would first go like McCavity, poof.
Yeah, I
uh,
think McCavity is one of my favorite characters.
it was, yeah, it was
Also,
really
if he
something.
can teleport and he wants to be the chosen one so badly, at the end when he's like trying to climb into the hot air balloon, why doesn't he just teleport into the hot air balloon? Just yeah, I
Look,
don't know.
some
Food for
questions can't
thought.
be answered.
Oh god.
You can't just
Yep.
teleport into a hot air balloon. I don't know what you're even thinking.
I'm down. How could I ever think that? Yeah.
You know,
Skimble Shanks.
I thought we were having a serious discussion about cats.
Oh god. I think that's everything that I wrote down. I wrote down I hate this something dance. I don't know. There were a lot of dances that I hated just because they were like so fucking weirdly sexual and it was
just
gross.
just because they were bad, perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah, and oh, I heard, apparently some people are like excited about the main actress who plays Victoria. They're like, "Oh my God, this is her breakout role," but she doesn't really do anything. She's like a professional ballet dancer, which shows she's a good dancer,
Yeah.
but she doesn't do that much acting. She's just kind of like, oh, like I'm so confused and intrigued by all of this jellicle crap. Like,
Yeah, I think she was well
perfect.
cast because she looked appropriate for how they set her up.
Mm.
Um, but I also think that
Ooh,
yeah. Um, I also think that like her not being an actual like actress and being more of a ballet dancer is it makes sense for that whole thing. Like she did not need to
right.
act. She just needed to do the like ballet acting of like looking like she had a specific emotion.
Yeah,
And her
yeah,
song
she was
was
good, but
fun.
I don't see.
Uh, but I do feel like she was also like a weird like uh they tried really hard on her costuming stuff, like her effects, and while it still looked
Mhm.
fucked up, I feel like they were trying to get like a uh oh the what's her name? The girl Bugs Bunny, uh
Oh
Fiona Bunny.
God.
I feel like they were trying to get like some kind of weird furry bait character so that the rest of their
Yeah.
monstrosities could go unnoticed, because
Yeah.
they definitely made her like a weird sort of like overreacting, over emotional, large eyes, lots of like, oh, like it it kind of grossed me out, like the way that they were using the character, because it felt very like uh I don't know, something wrong with how they were like making a unknown character in there that way.
Yeah. So I agree with your comparing her to kind of it's a Lola bunny. I had to look that up
Oh, Lola
because
Bunny,
I
yes.
really like that character. But Lola Bunny is better because she has like brains and agency, but
She
Victoria
also,
is sort of like
Lola Bunny,
follows
when she
people.
shows up and stuff, is usually like more three-dimensional, faster,
Right.
where you don't really get the feeling that there are any thoughts in this character until the midpoint. And even then, it's like you're supposed to be amazed that she has empathy.
Yeah. Yeah, that is an interesting part. I wish they did any sort of character building before that because I think her like she's not a singer, she's a dancer. So actually I thought her like vocal performance was pretty okay.
Yeah.
Um I thought that was good and the song is
The
fine.
song wasn't great, but it's never going to be great. So
Right. But yeah, if they had done even a little bit of her character building before that, I think that would have been easier to connect with. But yeah, it's basically just like, oh, she's nice.
yeah. Oh, what a nice cat.
Yeah. Which I guess is fine since she's just supposed to be like the stand-in for us. So
I
like
guess.
personality lists almost, but yeah, I wish they did anything.
I
Is
it
she in the musical or is that just something they did?
I've heard people say she was made for the musical, but I feel like Victoria is just like prissy cat in the play. I might be wrong.
Hmm.
But there's like 20 named cats in that play that just don't have songs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that she's just one of those originally, and they pulled her into a more central position, but it might have not been one of those cats, because there are like cats named after like philosophers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to say the bitchy cat that is like, no, you can't be part of our cat club, like through the whole movie, who like they never say her name, I don't think.
Oh
uh
yeah, I
i'm
saw her
pretty
on IMDb.
I'm pretty sure that her cat's name is like a philosopher or something, like her little cat crew. Uh,
Is
and I
it
don't,
Demeter?
I think so. Yeah, I think it might be Demeter. So yeah, not a philosopher, but I think it is like there's cats that just have names more like that, and I think Victoria was one of those cats.
Yeah. They also, I felt bad. Like they have, like you said, a lot of just unnamed cat characters kind of in the background. And there's one part where I guess there's kittens. Like there's a trio of like younger cats, and they refer to them as kittens. I think once.
Oh,
And it's like in one scene, and they like I can't even remember what happens, but I remember it made me feel bad for them. They have like one of them says something or has an idea, and everyone else is like, "Fuck you, you're stupid and young," and they just get real sad. And I'm like, "Oh," and they have no other character, anything. It's just
I
like once. So
that must have washed over me. I had already seen too much.
yeah,
Did you get that thing I sent you?
I did. I
Do you
didn't
have any
realize
thoughts
this
about
was
that?
a thing. Like
Uh-huh.
this is like a scientific thing.
Yes.
I
Uh,
did not know that.
so it's called like the E layer, uh, but that is part of my argument for why they're just launching these cats into space.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, that's kind of what I got. Because it's supposed to be like a or like their whole system is supposed to be kind of like a reincarnation sort of deal, right? Like
Right.
they go up and then they come back as a new cat. So yeah, I kind of just assumed that they were launching cats up in the air to fucking die.
Yeah.
Which is not great, and I don't understand why they all want to go, but okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Also, since they're doing that, like, sorry to interrupt you, but like, why does she choose Grisabella instead of the old Gus, who's like about to die? He's so
Well,
old, and it's
that's
like,
the thing. Like in my trying to figure out any sense in the story, I think that she likes having Gus around, but I think that
oh, because she likes him.
yeah, I think she just likes having certain cats around, and it makes sense to me that the one cat that is like sort of an outsider would be
Oh,
their sacrifice, because like why
yeah,
wouldn't it be?
yeah.
This
Oh,
is
that
my
makes it so much more sad.
this is my cynical cats review of the story of cats.
Oh no.
um
Old Deuteronomy is just like your life is fucking miserable and no one likes you, so I guess we'll just launch you into space.
uh yeah, and like for reference, the thing I sent is having to do with the heavy side layer being a part of the atmosphere and not
Right.
anything that's interesting. It's just kind of like, well, that's a place we can put you in this hot air balloon, you bitch.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad I'm glad you sent that because the whole time I thought they were saying heaven side layer. Like, oh, you're going to heaven with and
Right.
that made sense to me, but this makes some unfortunate sense too. That also makes the pronunciation way that makes more sense because there were a lot of times like, are they saying heavy side or
Right.
heaven side? But yeah, you're right. It is heavy side.
Well, it makes a lot more
Oh,
sense than having it be a layer, because that's what it sounds like they're saying, is that it's
a
the like
layer of the atmosphere
right that
where you die.
where you will suffocate.
God, fucking dark.
Well, cats
Um,
have 9 lives, so it's fine. But old Deuteronomy's lived 99, I think.
oh, is that the thing that they say? I
I
don't.
think so, but it's in comparison. Of course she has, because she's murdering all these cats.
Obviously, she's the oldest cat because she's just kicking all these cats into space.
Mhm.
Oh, so old Deuteronomy is actually kind of a bitch.
Well, it's a real Walrus and the Carpenter story now that you get down to like this kind of shit.
Oh no. Yeah. Okay. That makes
Well,
sense.
and it also plays in really well if you want like a completely imaginary idea of what this storyline is. It feels very like the theater kind of thing to me, of like we'll just have like our weird theater thing we're doing, and we'll have like the Gus cat and like the troublemaking cat that brings in big audiences, and we'll get all this new blood and like compress it down into this like acting troupe.
Hmm.
But we'll also have these cats that are talented that are like off on the side, and like we'll just kind of sacrifice them out to whatever, and if they come back that's fine, and if they don't then that's cool because we still have our group. Like it feels very like theater nerd slash like I don't know, just like taking a very cynical concept of like how people work together in like these weird like communities, but then having it be
Hmm.
like, because you could even address artistic communities the same way you could address like this weird fantasy cat community of like there's lots of separate parts that have like talents and stuff that are little stories that are horrible to listen to. uh, and they all kind of get together and do stuff, and it never really amounts to anything, but you make a group and that's the thing that ends up being important. And then this like sort of trying to raise somebody up even though it's probably never going to work is
Mm-hmm.
like a good way of cementing everybody into like following this group forever. And then you just need like a central pillar of like uh somebody everybody turns to for like, hey, I think this is a good idea, and then they have final say on it. Like it's just a very cynical reading of it, but it's also like that would make total sense for somebody like Andrew Lloyd Webber, who's like in this artistic community and also like I don't know, Andrew Lloyd Webber and all his work gives me this feeling of like really weird like big 70s energy of like sexual repression of like I'm going to make this play about Jesus, but it's really about like this weird like pseudo love triangle, and I'm going to have everybody constantly like, "Oh, I want to fuck Jesus so bad." And then I'm going to make all these like weird kind of boring musicals that are like furiously sexual for no reason. And then this Cats one is the only one that feels like it takes place in a theater. Like all the other ones are just kind of around. Even like Starlight Express, where it's all people as trains, is just a fucking garbage fire that is like people skating around, but it's not really supposed to be in a theater. It's supposed to be like trains because people are crazy. Was that a weird like sound coming from your end?
Yeah, so there's a plow truck outside and they like ran a stop sign and couldn't stop in time.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought it was like the end of the world for a second because it was
it
such
was
a
really
strange
loud,
noise.
yeah. I was scared. Um
Anyway, you can read my thesis about how Cats is a dour look at life and death of an artistic community.
the way you put it really sounds like they're an evangelical cult. It
Yes,
sounds very cult like.
it's very cult-like for sure.
Cause I mean, oh my god, it's super cult like. I didn't actually make that connection, but they have like a weird mystical leader who chooses people to die.
And there's no proof that they can do what they do, and there can't
Exactly.
be any proof.
Ooh. I don't like it. Oh. I mean, it's definitely more interesting to think about it that way than just whimsical theater cats. But oh god,
This is my jellicle cult.
this is call your dad. You're an evangelical cult. Oh god.
What are
Oh.
the rules? Stay out of the theater. Uh, call your dad. You're an jellicle cult.
Oh, so bad. But like, since this is not super related to anything we were just saying, but since it is supposed to be like her old Deuteronomy picking someone, I assume based on their performances. That's
I
why
think
everyone
so.
has their like it's like a talent show sort of thing.
Yeah.
I was actually excited about that portion of it, like seeing everyone's like, oh, it's the big show kind of dynamic where you think people are going to put on like their thing. I don't know, Magic Cat's going to do magic, which I guess he does. um
I mean, at the end, a bunch of stuff floats around. Oversized playing cards, I think, like shoot out of
yeah,
stuff.
I mean, is that even worth mentioning? by,
No.
by the time we get to these cats doing actual magic, I'm just like, what the fuck ever. That's fine. I believe it.
Um,
He
oh.
like transports old Deuteronomy off the plank that she's about to walk. walk. Also,
Yeah.
walking the plank, that's an interesting way to go. Okay, like I
Well,
guess that makes
cats
sense.
hate water, and the Thames is
Yeah.
a lot of fast moving water, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then there actually is a cat, like the goon cat who just falls into the river and drowns, I guess. And
Yeah.
they like drown a cat and then they like high five after. They're like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
we
that's
drowned
true.
the bad guy." So, but anyway, like going, my thought was that I was really excited to see a big kind of like talent show sort of scene, and that didn't really happen. So I was kind of disappointed about that. I wanted to see her picking who she thought was the most talented or worthy or whatever the fuck, but I guess Jennifer Hudson is just way too worthy slash too much of an outsider to ignore. So
I guess so. I don't know. It's just me being sour because everybody talks about how good that song is, and I really don't see it. Um, it's just better than the other songs.
it is. And actually, I have to say, when that started, I was like, oh, like I actually had no idea that song was from this.
uh,
I I had just like heard it before and I had no idea that was Cats. Oh god.
yeah.
How do they mess up the faces so bad?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like they stretched the faces. Like they're not the faces,
Yeah,
which
his
makes
face is
me
not at all.
which makes me feel even more like they were trying to make the main cat like overly humanoid and like weirdly fuckable.
What the fuck is his name? Munkle Teaser? Munkle Rumpus?
No, that's just Mr. Mistopheles. Wait, do you mean like who played the
Oh,
other
the one
cat?
you're yeah, the one you're talking about. What's his name?
Monku Strap?
Monka Strap. Jesus.
Uh,
Rowdy Child.
he just looks like Hugh Laurie but young.
I 100% thought that was Hugh Laurie when I saw the cast. Okay, I'm just gonna look up cats before and after.
Oh.
Okay, turns out you have to be more specific on the internet than just typing in cats before and after.
Yeah. I feel like you could get some weird shit typing that in.
Yeah.
You watch out.
Oh, other note, I found out about this movie, and you might already know this, but I thought this was hilarious slash super interesting. Cats marks the first time in history that Universal has like released a movie. It's in theaters. It's playing, and then followed it up with like, "Hey, actually, here's another better, more done version," and like
Oh yeah.
patched a movie that they
Yeah,
had
they
already released.
I love that they patched that movie. That's the weirdest shit.
That's so good. They pulled kind of a Kanye West on their movie. They're like, no, wait, it's not done.
Don't worry, y'all, I'm fixing cats.
Actually, I would deeply appreciate it if, like, once a year for the next 10 years, they released a Cats patch
Oh
and
yeah.
just make it into a national holiday.
I want them to include um unpatched cats on the
Mm.
special edition.
Yeah. I really think, actually, if they just lean into this monstrosity that it is, I think they could they could still, I don't know, do something.
Uh uh-oh.
What?
So,
Oh.
sorry, I've fallen into a hole looking for the cat's porn parody. um,
Oh, no.
137 people pitched me on Cat's porn parody this week. 1 year ago, I wrote it down in my
Stop.
book of things I may parody. 137 people tweeting at me how I stole their idea if I ever make it is the reason I'll never make it. What is this? Who is this person? Ugh.
It sounds bad. Also, my internet's being really bad, and so I heard just about every other word of that.
Oh, okay. We might want to cut this one off because there are hours of Saturday that get rough on the internet for America. So from the context clues I can pick up, this is a tweet. This is somebody named Leroy Myers. Oh boy,
oh, yeah.
I don't like what you're showing me there.
I just sent Jesse a photo of before and after the CGI patch that Universal released. The difference is a lot. Like, they added a lot of fur just to her neck, basically, which actually made it worse. Now her face looks like it's floating even more.
Yeah, to old Deuteronomy.
Yeah.
So Leroy Myers appears to be a person who does porn parodies for a living, and they did the Pokemon porn parody that was just a woman in a Pikachu costume. And this is just for you, I guess. People were comparing this shot of Victoria to the girl in a Pokemon costume, and saying that they need to make a Cats porn parody. So I guess that's potentially on the horizon from somebody, but I don't think it's going to be this guy. But I'll keep my ears on the ground.
Yeah, please do that. I was sure that it was going to happen at some point. Like, somebody's going to make it.
Oh boy. No, if you look for Cats porn parodies, most of what you find are a lot of Catwoman, Rey from Star Wars, I guess, and then somebody's like fan art porn videos of the amazing world of Gumball. So I'm gonna set this over here and turn that off forever. But look forward, 2020 Cats porn parody coming at you. You
Can't wait to do that podcast.
You better hope that I don't request that we do a watching of that, because by rules of the podcast, we'd have to, right?
Yep. Rules that we're just making up now and are totally applicable to everything. Yep.
I mean, I saw that dog penis that was, in fact, just a dildo on a man in a dog suit. You can refer back to previous episode for that. A lot of squeezing things through tubes in that episode. I'll never forget it. So I guess that's an endorsement of our own podcast.
And much like that episode, I will never forget Cats. I don't think I'll ever be able to squeeze that out of my brain.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how soft you make those eggs. You'll never squeeze them through the cat tube.
Oh no.
I think the podcast might be over.
I'm ending it. I'm ending it right now. Why won't it stop? I stopped it like